Trump building. Between the bam, 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 and some guy on the radio from the CBS helicopter yakking away giving traffic reports, I realized I had a bit of a headache. Mackenzie's my best friend, but that doesn't mean we don't mix things up once in a while. Usually it's about who wears the pants. Not literally, because Mac nearly always wears skirts, on the short side, and today she was wearing a silver one she'd found at a Soho consignment shop. It's about who wears the pants in our relationship. The argument we'd had at Westside School was about dividing up the labors on our project for Ms. Kenny. We had decided we were going to demonstrate spectroscopy by passing a current through a dill pickle. We knew from other kids who'd taken her course that Ms. Kenny loves that experiment and thinks any kid who does it is cool. It's one of the most dramatic ways to show that the sodium atoms in the pickle give off a yellow glow when excited by electricity. Mackenzie had insisted on handling all the construction for the experiment, hammering 2 nails into a board, cutting the wires and plug off a lamp, and winding the ends of the wires around the nails. "You shop for the pickle," she told me. "I'm tired of being the domestic goddess." "Okay," I had said. "No big deal. I do my own laundry. I can cook. I'm not an incompetent male," I reminded her. I went to Zabar's and bought a fat kosher dill. I did add one engineering touch. I used a skinning knife and a metal tube to make a slight hollowing in the middle of the pickle. I thought it would let the electricity pass through more visually. I had no idea it would make the pickle do the terrible thing that it finally did. "Oh, look," Nicole Filipowitz, a junior with a face like a crazed Shih Tzu, had yelled out in class as we started the demonstration. "Now they're electrocuting a pickle." Nicole's just one of the West Side kids who were jealous of Mackenzie's and my reputation as practically professional crime investigators. "I'll bet you're going to catch all your killers now and execute them in your own homemade electric chair," Nicole added. "It'll be like one-stop shopping." Mac looked as if she wanted to slug Nicole as she stuck the plug into the socket. Instantly, the current rushed through the pickle. There was a really remarkable yellow glow, for a few seconds. Of course, the pickle began to burn a little and smell like a cross between some kind of mutant gorgonzola cheese and roasting rodent roadkill. Half the class began to gag. Nicole screamed with delight and jumped up and down, holding her nose. The smell made all of the class rise and back away, so that when the pickle exploded, it was only me, Mac, and Ms. Kenny who got pelted with hot pickle shrapnel. "And you don't think that was embarrassing?" Mac snarled at me in the coroner's van as Mrs. Riggs swung a right onto the Cross Bronx Expressway. Ms. Kenny's face was dripping with pickle pieces. They were in our hair, our nostrils. No wonder Ms. Kenny gave us a C. I can still hear Nicole laughing. Oh, I'd really like to electrocute her. The van's phone rang as we got closer to the zoo. Mrs. Riggs punched off the radio and put the call on speakerphone. It was the zoo director, Perry Sagan, a good friend of Mrs. Riggs. Perry had been a player in her weekly poker game for a couple of years now, a good example of how Mrs. Riggs does most of her political networking in New York City, card games and schmoozing. "Anything more about how Ivan was attacked?" Mrs. Riggs asked Perry. We were on the Cross Bronx Expressway now, so there was a lot of static from the bridge overpasses. "As you probably know," Perry said, "Ivan was a primate specialist, so he was in charge of the entire staff in the new Congo gorilla forest here." "I remember reading about it in the Times," Mrs. Riggs said. "It's pretty big. Even you were excited, right?" "Oh, yes, it's almost a dozen acres of authentic African landscape. Everyone comes to see the gorillas, but we've also got okapis, monkeys, and wild hogs there. The Congo gorilla forest was Ivan's dream child. He raised the money for it, did the promotion. He was even more excited about a new panda project he had on the drawing board." "So, exactly what happened?" "A vast segment of the territory has also been used for jaguars while we're building them a new facility. Ivan was a diabetic. He must have eaten or drunk the wrong thing and was in the wrong place at the wrong time." Mrs. Riggs turned up the volume on the speakerphone. The static was even worse. "You think